Abusuya moko about Eroba Daily Update TV so. Godfrey Dame on it Thadeus Sory I started beef be. Na Godfrey Dame behave say or say in the course of procedure of removing Chief Justice no. Petitioners na Thadeus Sory mo represent no. They are all NDC lawyers. Say Godfrey Dame ka say Thadeus Sory cannot go away like he's being obsessed with his name Godfrey Dame and Thadeus Sory because oh no we are Akroma till statement not say oh the mami chiremu statement no go Ghana news say I'm obsessed with you. How can I be obsessed with a lawyer I taught elementary civil procedure in open court just last October? Or chiremu I say Godfrey Dame say I'm obsessed with you. How come? I say it because me, lawyer, Godfrey Dame, small boy who shot, Nanseyan and mature civil elementary procedure, open court, October 12 which is last year, October as a woman, we are a small boy, say, so he is obsessed with you because, I say, Thadeus Sory, Godfrey Dame, open civil procedure, I I'm sure open court last October. Small boy, or just a Godfrey Dame is too small to say, a good Godfrey Dame as a crown because Godfrey Dame should so be meeting Thadeus Sory a year chachuni now chachukata will be timino. I was young my project no screen so you could take Thadeus Sory in some other by God bless you.
They are doing well for me. Put them in the Supreme Court for me. One of the judges was the one who was hearing the Ẋཔոտe matter. That judge heard the tape, said, this is troubling. Learned Attorney General, if I were you, if you will listen to me, you will stay away from this case. Ali just to give you that the allure of some credibility. You see the way he sounded? There's a certain sense where he feels that everything he does is right. And that feeling, I don't know where there's a certain sense, this arrogance. I don't get it wrong. In fact, if you are looking for a persona that defines arrogance, you bypass Godfrey Dame, you'll find that. You see, he feels that he can never get it wrong. No matter what you say to him, and Nancy is right, no matter what you say to him, he will never accept that he was wrong. So this was a judge who sat there and said, this thing that I have heard. In fact, the only reason there was not a mistrial because the concept of mistrial does not exist on our books. So the judge didn't know how to treat it. But the judge too could have done something that would be unique and that would, in fact, change the way in which prosecutions are done in this country. But she decided not to do that. But she said, please, this tape and what I have heard on you doing on this tape, or you saying on this tape, please stay away. So we all talked about that and how he had been heavily discredited. How if this was Chachuchikata would have lost his license. How if this was Dominic Aine would have, remember they nearly disbarred Dominic. Do you know what Dominic Aine did? He commented, he granted an interview to the media. They wanted to take away his license. They thought he couldn't talk again. That was the interview. And this was like a stock in trade of Godfrey Dame. Every time you come and grant an interview and take on judges and take on everybody. But nobody touched Godfrey Dame. So he had this sense that if I am doing it, it's for the right reasons. If Nancy is doing the same thing, Nancy is doing it for the wrong reason. Godfrey Dame, Nanado Sachetman, says that Thadeus Sory, with his record, Thadeus Sory is an NDC man, a known NDC man. Thadeus Sory. In fact, when I was in court, there were some people who were tagged by political parties. Nobody ever tagged Thadeus NDC. But Thadeus is one of those lawyers where when you go back into history, you can trace a certain sense where he took his job so seriously. He represents anybody on the political aisle. It can be any party. He will take any case. As long as he's convinced that there's a case to be won and there's a case to fight for, he will do it. And that's why most people kept going back to him. That's Thaddeus Sory. It says because Thaddeus Sory represents the speaker. He's a lawyer for the speaker. Thaddeus Sory is NDC. He is not MPPO. He is doing it for the right reasons. Chachuchi Kata is NDC. The man who, if the NDC, sometimes the NDC people want to beat him up. In fact, sometimes when he writes, the way the NDC people want to deal with him, Oliver Baka-Boma, he is, people in both parties don't like him because he can fire his salvos anywhere. So Oliver Baka-Boma is NDC. All of them are NDC. But he, prophet, evangelist, Godfred Yebo Adami, he can do no wrong. So he is fighting for the judiciary. He is fighting for the judiciary by fighting some people within the judiciary who are fighting CJ Tokono. So CJ Tokono is a representation of the judiciary for him. And he's fighting.
First of his name. Fighter of the judiciary. Fighter for the judiciary.
Fighter. So that's what he said. Now, there was a response from Thaddeus Sory. In fact, Thaddeus Sory was largely a lawyer whose voice you'd never hear. In fact, there were two people. Thaddeus Sory. Tony Lita started at some point by granting interviews and you doing analysis. That was all Tony. But at some point he stopped. So Tony, if you send, he won't talk. And they were same for Thaddeus Sory. But at some point, I don't know what happened. Then Thaddeus Sory started writing on Facebook. He responded to this particular interview. Nancy, what did he say?
The title is The Incongruous Crybaby Again. Now, this will be the direct and straightforward, no allegoric narrations. This is because the crybaby needs another knock, and each time he refuses to hit the lesson from the previous knock, the next knock must be harder. Mr. Incongruous Crybaby has no sense of shame at all. Having failed to attract attention for some time now, Mr. Crybaby has once again started screaming. This time, the forum for his mostly infamous scream is Joy FM's top story program, not his favorite forum. Why is his favorite forum anyway? Now, without any sense of compunction, Crybaby incongruously lamented thus: if there are any group of people who have politicized the process, it is the NDC government. Look at the band of lawyers representing the petitioners, Mr. Chachushikata, Mr. Thaddeus Sory, a lawyer who has gone on record as representing all NDC figures in the past 8 years and who is very much associated with the NDC. Oliver Baka-Boma, a young man who worked with President Mahama in his office. I didn't know that. That indeed is most incongruous. Who, I ask, are the band of lawyers representing the suspended CJ? In just about a month, you, yes, Mr. Crybaby, have personally appeared in 2 of the 4 suits directly involving proceedings for the Chief Justice's removal. You were appointed Deputy Attorney General by former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Hardly a coincidence. That appointment itself was incongruous. Your elevation to Attorney General was even more so. Do you recall the host of card-carrying NPP lawyers who surrounded you? Not as a private legal practitioner, but as Attorney General during the Supreme Court proceedings on the vacant seats case. Now, and yet, without any shred of moral scrabble, you allege that I represent an individual, Dan Ofori, solely because I am NDC affiliated, even though I represented this client long before the suspended Chief Justice was elevated to the Court of Appeal. Allow me to refresh your memory on my legal diversity. Mr. Ambrose Derry, your colleague minister, was my pupil master. Together, we defended Malam Yusuf Visa, who was appointed by President Kufuor. I shared a night at the police headquarters with Honorable Obi Amwa, an MPP stalwart, during a politically sensitive case. I defended accused persons in the Issa Mobila criminal trial, a matter that became a major campaign. The firm, Kulendi at Law, can attest to the massive support I gave them in the Ghana at 50 case. Were those accused persons in the Ghana at 50 case NDC officials? Ask Honorable Ẋփȯṭe. I represented him in the matter easily perceived as political and anti-NDC. None of the cases I have cited involve the NDC, yet here you are, painting me with a partisan brush. I am a professional bound by Rule 65 of our legal ethics to represent anyone who retains me, subject only to a program to interpret everything through an NDC lens. You have my sympathy. In the light of all this, Mr. Crybaby ridiculously boasted, quote, if there is any Attorney General who from the start of his appointment has stood up for the judiciary and spoken against attacks on the judiciary, it is myself, end quote. Your present battle is clearly incongruous. It has nothing to do with principle. It is a blatant effort of self-preservation. Even in that same Joy FM interview, Evans Mensah observed that you appeared before the Supreme Court, presided over by the suspended Chief Justice, under highly suspicious circumstances, and now you claim to be standing on principle. As Attorney General, you benefited from a stream of unanimous and often controversial decisions in politically charged cases. You were routinely excused for legal oversights that in earlier years would have drawn scathing rebuke from the Supreme Court. For the record, I went against my personal principles and appeared on several radio stations to defend the judiciary, despite being directly involved in related matters. I made it clear I would take action against anyone who maligned the judiciary without any expectation of recognition. And yet again, without hesitation, you proclaimed, quote, it is about time good men of this country stood up for what is righteous and what is right, end quote. If all men in Ghana behave like you, where will the good men be to be fighting a blasphemous cause you have the temerity to call righteous and what is right? Now, how can a Minister of Justice defend a Supreme Court ruling when an ex parte order was granted within 2 hours of filing without hearing the other party? Communicate directly with an accused person behind the back of their counsel. Coach an accused person to implicate a co-accused. Your initial injunction in the Sifwa proxy case was dismissed. Now you reappear with the appropriate party and file yet another injunction. The audacity is staggering. Now, there is no Attorney General who has contributed more to the low rating of the judiciary than you. You are the only Attorney General who has never lost a case, etc., etc. What has changed? No Attorney General has done more to erode public trust in the judiciary than you. You wear your record of never losing a case as a badge of honor. What has changed now? As I once asked, how did your legal acumen suddenly improve just because you became Attorney General? Now that the mystique of that office has left you, you clinch to a 2-3 loss as some kind of moral victory because at least it wasn't unanimous. Let me say this clearly. Stop the tantrums. The next knock may not be a gentle tap. It will land like a sledgehammer in a hard cast like manner. Don't be silly. So, the interview you played, that is the response.
The response.
From Thaddeus.
In fact, there's a response to that response. This is so. Let me just read a portion of it before you come to. There's this one. So I'll jump many other paragraphs and it says, "Oh, Thaddeus, that ye have such short memory." That is Godfrey de Boadama responding to Lawyer Thaddeus. Sorry. It says, "Have you forgotten that in the only full trial of a case you and I happened to be on opposing sides between 2007 and 2009, when you were at Derry and Co., you lost miserably. Poto, as we say in Ghanaian parlance. When judgment was delivered by Ofosu Kwate in May 2009, unperturbed, you led your clients to pursue an appeal at the Court of Appeal and lost again. In a judgment delivered on 25th July 2013, was I the Attorney General in those years? A person who cursorily reads your write-up will be permitted to infer that you suffer pangs of jealousy. This I cannot help. I can only urge you not to be quick to boast of your legal acumen, as you put it, or soil the hard-earned reputation of your fellow lawyers. 4. He said, when as Deputy Attorney General, I valiantly conducted many dangerous cases, much to the chagrin of the NDC, including a recovery of part of the Woyome ill-gotten cash. Was I the Attorney General? For a reminder, part of the Woyome cash, the balance, as we say, in Ghana is outstanding. Use your legal acumen to assist the current Attorney General to recover with interest, instead of expending time and energy in coming to the Supreme Court every day to monitor how cases affecting Tokonu CJ are going, even when you are not counsel in it. Fortunately, the legal acumen you claim I found when I was appointed Attorney General was not limited to the domestic territories of Ghana. I deployed same to the successful defense of Ghana's interest in many international arbitration cases and foreign courts, saving the nation billions of United States dollars. In point of fact, in my tenure as Attorney General, Ghana emerged victorious in all the international arbitrations my humble self and my able deputies led the office to conduct without the aid of foreign counsel. In tribute to Ghana's legal talent, I say that in the last international arbitration conducted solely by myself and my colleague, Deputy Attorneys General, which culminated in an award delivered on 18 November 2024, Ghana's case was roundly upheld with cost of about $2.2 million in her favor. In all humility, then he continued, I say as testament to the strength of Ghana's judicial system that the record of a consistent success I enjoyed in the courts in innumerable high-profile cases I conducted between 2003 and 2007 as a relatively junior lawyer, and between 2009 and 2017 when I was not the Attorney General, but a lawyer who was a member of the opposition, is there for all to verify. It is this independence of Ghana's judiciary that I see is threatened by recent happenings in Ghana, and which I seek to protect. You and the NDC's desperation to churn out a false narrative now will not change the situation. I have never said that you have not represented MPP clients. I am aware of your association with MPP clients, particularly when you were a junior to Mr. Ambrose Derry in Derry and Co. The irrefutable point I make now is that Mr. Chikata was President Mahama's lawyer in the last petition in 2020. You are the current Speaker of Parliament's lawyer, and double as lawyer for a person who is aggrieved by judgments delivered by the Chief Justice against him in his attempt to recover some Gangantua money from EcoBank. If you do not find it incongruous that the lawyers of the heads of two arms of government have teamed up to remove the Lady Chief Justice of the Republic from office, I cannot fault you. You are set your duty to represent anyone who retains you. Do I not owe the same duty? This, I hope, will be my only and ever response to you. I will continue to ignore your provocative comments. However, knowing your obsession with me, I am sure it will draw more abuse from you. As they say, quote, when Godfrey Dami coughs, the whole NDC catches cold. That is him. His conclusion. That is his response. In fact, there's a response from his senior Thaddeus. Sorry again to him. In fact,
when Godfrey Dami coughs, the whole NDC catches cold.
Yes, yes. Godfrey be powerful, man.
No, he said that the president's lawyer,
yes,
Mr. Speaker's lawyer, are teaming up against the Chief Justice.
Yeah.
So 2 arms of government are coming together to fight another arm of government. He doesn't like that. That cannot happen under his watch.
Yeah.
That is why he's standing for the Chief Justice. That is the only reason he's taking over this case.
matter,
Not because he's an MPP man
No.
that
It has nothing to do with
representing the
MPP,
Chief Justice will make him would make her an NDC woman, an MPP woman.
Yeah.
That is not the case. He's fighting for
he's fighting
for the judiciary.
A righteous cause.
And that ever since he became a lawyer, he was called to the bar. He has always done things properly, accordingly, and he's never, like, he even took cases on pro bono basis. And I asked myself, so Chikata dear, every case he's done, he's taking money. Yeah. He's never done any pro bono cases before. In fact, he has never defended any MPP person before. As for Godfrey Dami, he defends NDC, CPP, PNC.
And his interests are righteous.
You see, he even goes outside Ghana. To go and defend Ghana
and win.
And so for him, dear, when he comes and he's representing the Chief Justice, nobody can say that
no.
Chief Justice
or
he's politicizing the matter.
No.
But if Chachu Kata comes, because Chachu dear, he has never defended any MPP person, no CPP person, no even any private individual, no outside Ghana matter.
Yeah.
Nothing. Only NDC people, Chachu Kata, only NDC cases. So if Chachu appears,
it's NDC.
NDC. Anybody Chachu represents
will be NDC.
Yeah.
Subscribe, like, and share. God bless you.